This is the State Line Sports Hour, presented by Lincoln Rental and Sales on Newstalk 1440 WROK.
Mark Rudis giving us the flavor today, he says. Some good music. Hey, we're going to basically right now kick off our Pigskin preview for the season. And who better to start with than one of our favorite coaches to talk to, Rockford Lutheran head football coach Bruce Bazsali. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
We're doing good. Hey, I heard a good rumor the other day. I heard that James Robinson has really bulked up this year and is ready to go. That's got to be good news for you as a head football coach.
Oh, yeah. He's looking really good. But people don't realize, he's just becoming a junior this year, so he's just now starting to hit his maturity level.
Yeah. Obviously we'll talk a lot about what you've got coming back, but I don't think enough people realize what you kind of lost from last year's team. You had a lot of great senior leaders on that team. But, how are you going to look at replacing some of those guys this year?
Well, the last year we had 8 seniors, I believe it was, on our team, and 7 of them were really big producers for us. And, obviously those kids are going to be missed, but we just had a great crew of kids that are coming back that have shown some great leadership over the summer. And we've had maybe the best summer we've ever had as far as leadership goes, and as far as just getting things done. I've been really pleased with our kids.
I think the big question mark will be what's going to happen at the quarterback position this year.
Well, here's the crazy thing. Right now at the quarterback position, I couldn't even tell you who's going to start. It's almost a coin flip. These kids, also on some I've never done, but in every 7-on-7 we played in a lot of them. I alternated quarterback series. I wanted to go one series, wanted to go the next. And one week or one game, one quarterback would look better, then the next week the other one would, and or the next game the other one would. It was just back and forth. And we had this little bonding camp that we have out at this little farmette in Pecatonic, and we have this obstacle course, and I pitted both quarterbacks against one another, and this thing's about 300 yards long, and it's up and down hills, it's into a lake, and it's all kinds of crazy things. So, you wouldn't think it would end in a dead heat, and it did. They both come out of the water, run up this little sand hill onto the grass for about 30 yards, and they look at each other with about 10 yards to go and dive and hit the finish line at the same time. So I was thinking, holy cow, maybe this would differentiate the two, and they're still dead even in that. And so both kids have done a really good job. Right now I have sort of been leaning towards the senior just because he's a senior, and he led these kids to a conference championships when they were sophomores, and that was Jalen Horton. And the sophomore quarterback and he'll start at safety for us is Nick Brigham. And both those kids have done really, really well this summer. We played a lot of 7-on-7 and have done well, and both those kids have excelled.
When I look back on Kendall Lawson, he's kind of one of those guys that's got that little attitude that you needed to be a leader and a quarterback. Do either one of those have that ability right there?
Well, I don't know. There's nobody like Kendall when it comes to attitude. Kendall was all attitude. That's pulled him through. He was just great out there and believed so much in himself and got everybody else to believe in him, and he just did a great job. These kids don't have quite that swagger. They're a little bit more students of the game, but both are learning really to be very, very competitive like Kendall was, and that's what I like about them. And they both throw the ball really, really well, and they both can run. Different kind of style than Kendall when it comes to running. You never knew where Kendall was going to run. At least these kids, you got an idea where they're going to go.
I've seen some schools, alternate quarterbacks during the ball game. Have you considered that at all? Depending on who you play?
I did that one year, and it was a disaster for me. So I really don't want to do that. but it really, I'm going to have to play them both early just to really see. Mm-hmm. But it really right now I'm scratching my head. But it's a nice thing to have because it isn't that they're both poor; they're both pretty good. So I've actually been very happy with them this summer. I really thought that the sophomore would beat the senior out just athletically, but the senior just wasn't going to let it go. Jalen wasn't going to let it go, and he's done a great job of competing and fighting for it, and I like that. So I think he's going to do a good job.
Obviously whoever you choose there is going to have a big leg up because they're going to have James Robinson in the backfield next to them. You kind of talked about him getting into his junior year and hitting his maturity. What's kind of the next step or the goal for him this year?
Well, we personally, I mean, he's in the race for that, maybe being the leading rusher all time in the state. He's on track for that. And, I'd like to see him do it. We don't really go out of our way to feed him the ball. Some people say I should give him the ball more, and I don't believe that. I think it'd beat him up and things like that. As strong as he is, I just don't think, that's a good thing to do. And we always throw the ball pretty well, so I like mixing it up. But we're gonna move him around a little bit more this year. He's played more than just the tailback spot now. He's learned a lot as our slot back, and we may even play him a little bit on some defense as an outside linebacker this year.
How tough is that to fight sometimes? Because he is the type of player that, and any time he touches the ball, it could be a touchdown. How tough is that to fight sometimes when you're just like, boy, it'd be real nice. I know we've given it to him, 2-3 times in a row. It'd be really nice to just do it one more time and see what he can do. How tough is it to kind of fight that urge sometimes to run him into the ground?
Yeah, you want to go to the well a lot with him. But and he is that kind of back that once he gets rolling, he can be something else. But we've got so many skilled kids. You want to take advantage of that, and that just makes James better, so that he can get those breakaway runs and things like that. He's not a 2-3 yard at a time kind of kid. He's the kind of kid that can, like you said, bust one off any time, and he gets his yards in chunks a lot of times, and it's just, you just want to make sure you use all your weapons and keep teams off balance so they can't just key on him. Because I'm a firm believer that one guy doesn't win it for you. I think, and James will be the first to admit that what has helped is that he's had good kids around him, that have helped take the heat off of him, so he doesn't have to carry the load all the time. When it's nitty-gritty time, he wants it. There's no doubt about it. He's begging me for the ball, and you just got to play it smart and just watch what the teams are giving you, what the defense is giving you, and go from there.
We're talking with
the ball out of the backfield just as well. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. We're talking with Lutheran head football coach Bruce Bazsali, and one thing about the Big Northern, sometimes there's some football scores in those games. You got to have a good defense. How's the defense looking this year, Coach?
Well, this is what I'm excited about. Every year we've been in a lot of shootouts, as you probably well know, and we've relied a lot on scoring a lot of points. But last year we lost. When you talked about the seniors, we lost two really, really good inside linebackers in Barnhart and Osborne. Those kids were really good. But we've had two kids that have backed them up all along, Logan Davis and Matt Anderson. Matt Anderson played offensive tackle for us last year, and he played inside linebacker to rest those guys, but he played some outside linebacker. And Matt's a very athletic kid, and he plays basketball, and very smart kid, and he's a tough kid. And Logan Davis played and started for us last year as a strong safety and an outside linebacker. And so those kids have got a lot of experience, just not at inside linebacker, but they played it before, and they played it on the lower level for us when they were younger. They're just both going to be juniors, and they're stepping right in. They're doing a great job, and so we have more defensive starters back than what we've ever had. We lost those two kids and Zach Zanello, and but most of our defensive line, actually our entire defensive line, is back. We got Nate Weeding back as an outside linebacker, and we're really strong. Our entire secondary is back, plus kids. We've got a lot of there. Last year, that was sort of a weak spot to us early, and it got better and better as the year went on. And those kids now are all back, and that run that we made in the playoffs, they grew up a lot, and they helped us out a lot in the playoffs. They had some big picks, and they made some saving tackles, and they really grew up in those extra games. And that's what's so big about being able to play in the playoffs, is it's like kids get another season under their belt. So we're excited about our defense. I have a lot of help from a old friend of mine named Mike Mullaney, who was the head coach at Hersey High School, and he's retired, and he lives in Cary, and he drives up 3 or 4 days a week, and he helps out with our defense and actually helps Ben Thompson, who's our defensive coordinator, coordinate it. And we're really excited about where our defense is and where it'll be in the season.
You ready for another year of those easy prep weeks going through the Big Northern West?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's just such an easy run.
Yeah.
It's hard. They keep bringing these schools in that, holy cow. I mean, I think besides Stillman being awesome, and of course, Byron and Oregon and Winnebago all being there, I think Mendota's going to be really good this year. I thought they had a good team last year, and they were young, and they were big, and they were fast. And fortunately, we get Stillman and Mendota at home. So that's one thing in our favor, but now they bring in Dixon, and we're opening. We got a great opener this year, too, with Quincy Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. They've been to the playoffs 18 out of the last 20 years, and they're really, they're a high-powered team, and it's fun to open up with somebody like that.
Well, thanks so much, Coach, for being on today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Good luck to the Crusaders, and we hope to see you some Friday night.